Welcome to this brand new episode of the She Scales podcast, where today I'm super freaking excited to welcome on a special guest, Demi, who, if you've been watching Your Biz Coach Demi, you'll know she is an absolute queen, sales strategist, one of the pioneers of the coaching industry, and someone that I personally have followed for my entire for as long as I've been in the coaching industry. Demi has been up there with a crown at the top of the kingdom, really, really leading the way. And so I'll give you a little bit of background and then we'll welcome her on. And I'm really, really excited to get stuck into speaking with you, Demi. Welcome to the She Scales podcast. How are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you for that intro and thank you for having me on. This is going to be such a great episode.
It is. Now, for those of you who are new, and if you've been anywhere, you should absolutely know who Demi is. But just in case you've been living under a rock, Demi's a multi-seven-figure business strategist, brand architect, and the mentor behind thousands of the success stories of the women that you already follow, 100%, and women who are scaling to 30K, 50K, and 100K months. She's known throughout the industry for her unapologetic leadership, her hell yes messaging, and sharp business strategies that actually sell. Demi's built an 8-figure company in just under 6 years, fully rooted in integrity, innovation, and insane client results. What a freaking bio.
Thank
How
you.
do you feel even me reading that back? Are you just like, holy shit, I did that? Or you're like, yeah, standard.
It is pretty crazy. Like I still have mornings when I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, like what is my life? What have I built? It is crazy, but it also at the same time feels normal. It's such a weird in and out. Like you almost catch yourself in these moments where you're like, oh yeah, shit, this is my life. This is what I have. And then you're just so grateful because I remember, before I had any of this business or, I took any of this risk and bet on myself, like I was working the 9 to 5, I couldn't pay my insurance on my car. Like, honestly, I literally was buying groceries at the dollar store, like penny pinching. And so I'm just so unbelievably grateful for this life every single day and for the clients I get to work with and the impact that we get to make. It's amazing.
Oh my God, that is just the complete polarity between the start and end. And that's actually going to be one of my first questions is how did you get started? So you saying
Love that.
being at the dollar store and just was there part of you that wanted a bigger life? Had you seen anyone doing anything bigger at that time, or was it something in you that was like, I'm meant for more? I feel like there's something bigger for me.
Yeah, it's so funny because I didn't really grow up having anybody in my family that was an entrepreneur. Nobody around me that showed me, oh, this is something different than you can do other than, the very corporate lifestyle of you go to school, you get the job, the white picket fence, like, you save every penny for a rainy day. That's just what I grew up on. If you climbed the corporate ladder and if you made 6 figures, you were like the richest person, in a year. And so obviously, that's kind of the path that I went down because I didn't really know any different. And I moved away from home actually when I was 20 because I really wanted something different for myself. Like I grew up in a very small town, so it was like small town
Right.
vibes, you know? And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I need to explore the world because I have no idea what I want to do. And at the time I was in school, I do have my degree in business and marketing and human psychology actually, right? For marketing, consumer behavior. And I did that only because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I was like, oh, business, you can do anything, I guess. So, anyways, I did all of that and I still was just so unfulfilled. And, there were nights where I would be in my dungy little basement apartment room that I was paying so much in rent for. And I'd be, excuse me, opening up a spreadsheet being like, okay, if I save this much this year and I get a 2% cost of income living raise here, like, what can I afford? And there was this moment in time where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I
Mm.
have to do something different. And I don't know what that is, but I can't keep living like this. And it was like, do I marry? Do I gotta find a rich man? Those were like the thoughts that were going through my head. Like, how can I? And I used to be the person too that I would look at like people that had like the big houses and that drove the fancy cars. And I would be like, the must be nice, must be nice. Oh, must be nice to have parents with money. Must be nice that you somehow got lucky and got rich. Like that was literally my mindset back then. And it wasn't until I like literally asked for a raise at my corporate job. I went into my boss and I was like, I'm just going to be completely transparent with you. I'm struggling a little bit, and I feel like I'm doing so much for this company that I was working for. I was running all of their social media, their marketing campaigns, human resources. I was like three jobs all in one. And I asked for a $5,000 raise. That was it. Like nothing crazy for in a year. That's nothing. And especially to this company that I was working for, that was
Yeah.
nothing. And I got denied. That very
Mm.
same night I went home, I was like, how can I make more money? Like I just typed in
Yeah.
Google, how can and I found like just working online and social media management and virtual assisting. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start it. And I literally started that night. I stayed up, I pulled an all-nighter. I made a really crappy Wix website. I threw up an Instagram page. It was like all free, like everything I had, like it was all just puzzle pieced together. I watched like all kinds of YouTube videos. And then when I really got into the space and saw women that were talking about how much money they were making and, all these things, I was like, this can't be true. Like, what? There's no way.
Mm.
She's a scammer. This person is lying. My mom told me never to trust anybody on the internet, and then, it just opened my eyes to what was possible. And I just went head down into my work and it kind of just snowballed from there. And I started making more in my side hustle than I was in my 9 to 5. And I ended up quitting a few months later. It's crazy.
Oh, the joy that must have been on your face as you spoke
Oh,
to. Was it the
it
same
was,
guy or same manager that you spoke to?
yeah. And guess what? When I quit, then I got offered a raise.
Oh, always the way. They'll pay you to stay, but
Yeah.
never pay to keep you.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you know what? This job will always be here, but my time and what I can do for myself and how I want to change my life will not always be here. And so I just took the risk. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this is even going to end up working out, but I'm young and I have the, YOLO mindset right now. So I'm just going to see what happens. And I haven't been back to a 9 to 5 since. So
I love that bit about I realized that I could make like my time was more valuable. And
yeah.
100%. I think that's one of the cool things about working for yourself is all of a sudden you're not time for money or I work X amount of hours that to equal X amount of pay.
Yeah.
And you can just create that same level in a week, a day, even an hour, even like a 15-minute block because of
Oh,
the
it's
potency of
crazy.
what you're giving.
It's crazy. I make what I used to make in 2 years in a month now. Like
Insane.
and like sometimes I'm like, this doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
It just
And it
doesn't.
does it to people who are either who knew you in that former life
Yeah.
or who are earlier in their journey who had also come from that. Like me, I'd come from a good salary. But when
Hmm.
you come from what you thought was good into a different space and you see people making that in a month, in my early journey, I was the same of like, well, that can't be true
Yeah.
because in what all I know at this point, and that's the point, is it only goes to the extent of your knowledge, right? You only know what
Yeah.
you know, but I couldn't believe that that thing could be true because I was like, no, because what I was on was good. So how are you doing that in a month?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But the more
Exactly.
that you see it and the more that you see people doing more of it, then all of a sudden you realize what's possible for them is also possible for you and it opens doorways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely agree. It really does. And when I started just surrounding myself with more women that were making more money and who were unapologetically talking about it too. One of the things that I always say, because people have different opinions around women talking about money. Some people like to
Yeah.
share their income. Some people are like, I don't share my income or, for whatever reasons, and to each their own. But for me, like I literally would not be sitting here if it wasn't for the women that came before me that were
Yeah.
open and honest about what was possible,
Yes.
and so that's why I do share so openly. And if someone likes it and someone doesn't, that's fine. But I think that it's like my due diligence for the impact that I want to make and to show women how much their life can actually change and the freedom that it builds. Like, I don't care what anybody says, like, money to me buys so much happiness because
Yeah.
it's my freedom,
That
it
is a
buys my
lie that we are
time.
fed.
It buys my choices. Like I have choice in my life now, which I didn't really have before. So yeah, money has just it's ultimately changed my life, and I want it to be an empowering conversation versus something that people feel resistance to.
Yeah, and I do think that that is shifting culturally because,
Mhm.
like, coming from the UK, we have such a weirdness about money. Like, it's not polite. It's not
Yeah.
classy. We don't talk about money, and like,
Mhm.
don't do that. It's yeah, it's not chic. But exactly
Absolutely.
what you say is, as you were saying, until you see people ahead of you who look like you, who've got the same either opportunities or the same skill sets or the same personality, or just you can see some of you in someone who we all need influencers, whether it's like a celebrity or someone, it might have even been someone high up in your corporate role. We need role models. So
Mhm.
until more people are talking about this openly, how do you know what your role model looks like? So yeah,
Exactly.
100% agree. So we talked about how you got started. What year was it out of interest when you like first started
Like
doing it the side hustle?
2019,
Oh, so
2019.
you're like before the boom of COVID hit, and I guess a lot more people came into the space after
It was the 2020 boom was insane.
that.
It was insane. Yeah, and I was like pretty low key in my first year. But yeah, it was absolutely insane in 2020 when TikTok blew up, especially for the industry that I was sort of in at the time. In 2020, I shifted to mentorship for like service providers and virtual assistants and things like that. And it grew to coaches and just literally I can work with anybody now over time. But yeah, I remember on TikTok, the whole virtual assistants work online thing blew up because people lost their jobs overnight. And, everybody there was no other choice then but to come online. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was, I will say, like, I'm glad that I had my foot in the door during that time because I did bring in a lot of people into my world as well when that
yeah,
happened, for sure.
yeah. That's it. I was at the very forefront of it. I was already researching because I'd wanted to start an online business at that time, and it was more that lockdown gave me the opportunity of like, well, we're not going anywhere, so I might as well just get started. But I think because I'd already been researching it, I'd say I hit the ground quicker than a lot of people will who were just like, what now? And just
Yeah.
coming across that content. But yeah, even just me watching it, I'd only say I was a couple of steps ahead of the most people, but even then, it just seemed to like more and more people growing and just coming across more people who were either building something, talking about something, making videos. So
Mhm.
yeah, that would have been about where I came across you somewhere on Insta. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny,
that.
like it's crazy because it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it actually was like quite some time ago, right? Like five,
Yeah.
6 years now, which is crazy.
Isn't it interesting? This is a question that I was thinking about earlier. I'm going to bring it forward because there's so many people that who I deeply respect who have been following for years, who are like the long timers in the space, um, the proper pioneers of the industry, versus there's so many people who are like flash in the pan success. Like overnight success, seemingly come out of nowhere and seemingly will go very quickly and then disappear after 6 months. And I'm like, where did you go? There was all this like splash and then silence.
Hmm.
And there seems to be quite a few of those, like they like tortoise in the hare. Not that any of us are tortoises, but there'll seemingly be hares that then they're not there 6 or 12 months later. Um, what do you think of the either the red flags about people like that, or what do you think of the differences between people who are really standing the test of time to build a successful long-term business versus people who maybe are just in it for the cash and realize that then they've actually got to do some fucking work?
Oh my God. I think this is such a fully loaded question because I have so many thoughts about this. I think that some people, let's say they hire mentorship and they sort of they borrow power from mentorship and they kind of become very similar
Mm,
to who they are being mentored by. Their offers start to sound the same, their language that they use in their messaging starts to sound the same, and that might work for 6 months,
yeah.
but it's not going to be something that's sustainable over time, or, you stop working with that mentor and they stop promoting you, but you've never actually learned how to build something on your own. You've been latching on to somebody else's borrowed power. That's something that
Mm,
I find, you can see somebody absolutely blow up and then fall off because they weren't 100% aligned, number one. And I hate to use that word, but for lack of a better term at this moment, They weren't 100% aligned with what they were doing. They went in a direction that they thought would bring in money, and maybe it did for some time, but it wasn't actually what they were embodied in or what they were passionate
Mm,
about. So they burn out and they don't enjoy it, right? And their clients don't get the results that they should be getting, and they don't have people re-signing, and now they're lead churning, and it's just sort of a mess, right? So I've definitely seen that happen. I think the other piece of this too, depending on what, you do step into, is people don't recognize the responsibility that really does come with actually what like and like what this actually takes. Like
yeah.
there's so, especially being a mentor, you could be having the worst day of your life and you still show up for your people, and you have to take on the emotional, bandwidth of your clients and what's happening in their businesses and lives. And there's a lot of things that you hold and on your shoulders as a mentor, and there's a lot of responsibility because you're literally supporting somebody in their life, in their business, and I think people don't recognize that, especially when they even step into becoming a mentor. And so it might
Mm,
be all fun and games for a year, 6 months, or whatever, but if you don't actually know how to manage your capacity or your own emotional regulation, or you don't have the proper mentorship for yourself, like it really does take a toll. And if that's not managed, things start to fall off in your own business, right?
mm.
You stop posting your content, you stop doing the things that you wanted to do because you don't have the mental capacity to take on another client,
Yeah.
right? And I think just all
Yeah.
the things of like the normal things that in business, like some people just get so triggered when a payment fails, or a client wants to leave, or somebody writes something horrible about them on Reddit, or someone wrote a post bashing them. There's so much shit that you have to be mentally prepared for. It's not just easy quote unquote cash. It's not easy money. It's not just
Mm.
launch a program and make $100,000 and then you know you just get that money. It's not.
That's
So
such a good point. People are so attracted to I want to do 10K, 30K, 50K, 100K months. If you've not actually grown your own coaching ability to deliver that
yes,
standard behind it,
yes,
it's not about, because sales and marketing is with one skill, delivering and client experience, getting people
my
actual
goodness.
results, being a good human, being in integrity, teaching something of value is a whole different skill altogether.
And
But
that's so much harder. That's so much harder, than just learning how to market and sell. Yeah, I definitely think that plays a really big role in people coming and going. And I also think that, people will look at my results today and think, oh yeah, like I wish I had yours. Or, I had somebody say the other day to me, oh my God, Demi, like I would die, I would kill for your results. I wish I had your results. And it's like, okay, cool. You want
yeah.
my results, but would you go live every single day for an entire year like I did to get here? Would you host a free masterclass every single month to get here? Would you show up and work 8 hours, 16 hours a day to get here? Would you
Mm,
actually invest $16,000 in your first mastermind when you were literally making nothing? Like, would you do the things that
yeah.
I've done to create the results that I have? And if the answer is
Yeah.
no, then you can't wish for my results. Sorry, it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah. You want the wins, but you're not willing to go through the hardships and all the challenges and the times where it wasn't winning to get that.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what people don't recognize.
What would you say? Because it seems like you're winning all the time, but I know in entrepreneurship there's plenty of hard stuff that we move through, some of which people might talk about, and some of which is just another day in the office and we just carry on as normal. Are there things like heavy things or hard things that you've navigated? And how did you overcome those?
Oh my goodness, there's always hardships in business, like relationships that end, or, like team members that don't end up working out, even though you love them as humans. There's dips in revenue, there's programs you outgrow, there's client things that come up, there's so many things. And there is sometimes the unpredictabilities that you deal with, like there's taxes and learning all of that. And the ups and downs. Oh my God. Like there's so many days where I feel like I live 1,000 lives and I go through 1,000 emotions, but it's just like being mentally strong and knowing and reminding myself always like I can hold this. I can get through this. I can do this. And when I ever experience any sort of hardship in business, no matter what it is, I always tell myself it's a blessing because I know that it makes me a better leader when I go through it and I learn. And even if I don't handle something the right way or I make a mistake, like I am such a better human for it, which makes me a better mentor for my people because I know that they're going to end up experiencing the same things. And for me to be able to lead them through that, like that's why I have to go through hard things.
Well, I love that. So the more you learn, the more that you grow as a mentor, and the more that then you can facilitate hard things for other people, help them move through it easier.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of the work too that I do with my clients, you know? Like I know a lot of it online, I talk about marketing and sales and strategy, but behind the scenes there's also days where they're having breakdowns or days where there's family things that happen or, you know, like days where they're having clients that want to pull out of their mentorship or, you know, people that they've attracted who they're like, how the hell did I attract this person? I don't even this what's going on? What does this say about me? Like there's ups and downs in entrepreneurship every single day. So there's just so much leadership that also happens behind the scenes.
100%. I think that's been probably the most uncomfortable or unexpected wake up call that I found
Mhm.
that getting into business. Because I'd read somewhere that business holds up a mirror to all of your like uncomfortable things.
Mhm.
I had no idea how much starting a business would really be an entire therapy session and ongoing and everlasting.
I always say starting a business is the biggest personal development journey you will ever go on.
Yeah, because where you'd said before that like someone might join your program and you have the reflection then of like, oh, is this something I did or is this something in them? And those lessons, like, is it a strategy thing? Do I need to fix the messaging? Or is this actually nothing to do with me and this was a them thing? There's so much ever learning and like self-awareness to constantly be doing that people
Mhm.
have no idea about.
No, and they won't know until they're in it. And that's the thing, is like a lot of these things too that you navigate, there's no way to even prepare for them.
No.
You just have to take it as it comes, you know? Like there's so many twists and turns and plot twists, as I'll say, right? That
Yeah.
you kind of just have to roll with the punches most days. But that's honestly one of the things I do love about entrepreneurship is no 2 days are the exact same.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I just thinking about this, there was a one time where I'd invited a lady to come and do a guest expert session in my group program. She was a mindset lady, and so she was talking to the group about um someone had brought up a question and she was saying, well, where perhaps might this have stemmed back to something when you were younger or in your corporate life where you were made to feel silly or ignored or stepped over? And as she was talking to the rest of my group were watching me have the breakthrough moment of like, oh yeah, that was that thing. Because something that had been on my mind, my guest expert, it was actually like healing me in front of my whole group. And so you never know when the light bulb moments are going to land.
Love that though. I think that's one of the most beautiful things. Like when I look at mentorship and the mentorship that I've experienced and, you know, I pay for, a lot of it I don't, especially now, like I don't hire a mentor just for like this one strategy or this one thing that they teach. I hire them to witness who they are and how they lead
Yeah.
and how they navigate different situations in their life. Like that to me has always been so much more valuable than really anything they could, like any strategy or thing they could teach me, right? It's like, who have they become? And if I can learn from that, and I love my people being able to also witness me in my growth and evolution. I think that's the most beautiful thing. So anytime I'm going through that, like, you know, what a beautiful moment for your clients to experience from you of, oh, well, Sarah, she still grows. She's still growing. She's still evolving. Like, she's not like, you know, the almighty know-it-all, you know, because a lot of clients tend to potentially put you on a pedestal of, oh, you know everything. Um, but we don't. We're still learning
Yeah,
every single day.
exactly. Still get to see where new shadows, new levels, new devils, new things that
Mhm.
you weren't aware of, or new little spotlights like, oh, I've not looked at that from that angle. That's uncomfortable, but let's address it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mentioned who you follow people, or you're in mentorship because of watching and enjoying who they've become now. How would you say that you've changed between like getting into the online space versus who you've become now? What are the biggest things you'd say you've changed in?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think there's just so much like I think the conviction that I have within myself. Like I used to and I used to be a really big people pleaser. Like I wanted to make sure everybody liked me. Like like I was the nicest girl that anyone had
Mm.
ever come across. And when I first started, I had no boundaries. But I also will say like I think that where I was at that moment of time, like I didn't not to say I didn't deserve to have boundaries, but I hadn't earned the right
Mm.
yet, I will say or do certain things in my like because I was building, and I think a lot of people start off too strong and they boundary themselves into a deficit too early on before they even like build up a reputation and clientele and all of that. So I will say, I had no boundaries in the beginning, but I do think it absolutely supported me on growing my business to where it is today. But I will say, like, I think one of the biggest things is just I just know who I am so wholeheartedly now, and I'm so grounded in that nobody can take me out of my power. And in the earlier stages of my business, there were a lot of things that took me out of my power, right? If somebody said something, bad about me, or, I would be out for like crying, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Blah, 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 right? My whole business is going to be ruined. I'm like, and now it's just, okay, you want to say something bad about me? That's cool. Like, that's your prerogative. But I know who I am and I know my truth and I know what I stand and what my beliefs are. And if we don't align, then we don't align. That's okay. But I'm not going to change who I am and how I move to please somebody else now, right? And so I think that's like the confidence and the conviction and the trust that I of who I am is what I would say is the biggest shift that has happened for me over the years.
Love that the people pleaser to like fully in conviction timeline. I'm guessing
Yeah.
I from my memory, you've always been like quite bold in your messaging, quite direct and get to the point. So I'm guessing that your messaging when you were more of the people pleaser was a lot more like, here's here's what I'll say to get you to like me.
Yes.
Versus now you're like, here's what you need to hear today.
Yeah, it would be like, here's my opinion, but please don't take offense if this, or like I'd back it up with like 30 different like disclaimers versus now I'm just like, this is my opinion, like it or leave it. I don't care what you like.
Yeah.
If you like, you want to hire me, great. If you don't, unfollow me. Like I couldn't care less.
Yeah, now it's more like you probably won't like this, but you'll need it. You'll find value in it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've become such a better mentor as well because in even in the beginning, I might say something a client wants to hear, but it might not. I was almost sometimes a little bit afraid, like when I very first started coaching, to say something that would piss somebody off,
Mm.
right? Even though it's what they needed to hear. And now I will not be your yes girl. If there is something you need to hear, I am not afraid to make you angry. My job for you as a client is not for you to like me. It is for me to get you the results that you're asking for. And if that takes me giving you a little bit of tough love and telling you straight up what you actually need to hear because nobody else is willing to, then I'm going to be that person for you. That's what you pay me for.
Yeah, exactly. You're not paying for likes or validation or just a cheerleader. You're paying for
No.
someone to get you results. 100%. Now, you're someone that's known for, we're speaking about this, like this direct messaging, this like hell yes messaging. What does that mean to you? We've touched on it a little bit there, but like a little bit more in your words. What does hell yes messaging mean to you?
For me, it means that like reach like a flow state when you are creating content. You are so embodied in what it is that you're doing and who you are and what you want to say that it comes out in your content in a way that truly just attracts the perfect right people for you. And obviously, I do a lot of like messaging that's rooted in sales psychology as well. But I would say that when your ideal client reads your piece of content, they feel a sense of security, of certainty, safety to be able to be like, oh my God, she's in my head. This is exactly how I feel. I feel like no one has ever been able to describe this to me before. And she's really giving me the truth. And I love that about her. So I want to reach out and I want to buy from her. Right. And so when you are direct and you are showcasing to your specific people who you are and how you're going to help them and what they need to hear, that gets you that hell yes as a I'm in, let me pay you versus, people liking your content and being inspirational and, all the things, but then spending their money elsewhere.
Yeah. And that's the difference, isn't it, between content that just gets likes and gets engagement, maybe, versus the content that gets you paid and gets you clients.
Yes,
Because you're really good at
absolutely.
getting into like the real nuances of messaging about like the real like diagnosing the thing behind the thing that they are aware that's happening. Like you're really getting into the detail.
Yes, and the more specific you can be in your messaging and your content, the better. It's so funny. I'll have clients that'll hire me and, we'll look at their engagement and things and their metrics are through the roof and, they have hundreds of thousands of followers and I'm like, "Okay, well, you're not selling jack shit in your content.
Yeah.
That's why you have all this engagement, all these likes and all these comments and all these followers, but nobody's buying from you." So like
Yeah.
those vanity metrics, they might look good, they might make you feel good, but if you're not even making 2 to 5K a month with all of the like, there's a massive issue here. And so I have to do a lot of deconditioning as well with some of my clients to be like, yeah, sure, if you want to post a viral reel and you want to go and do that, great. But please also post a sales reel or a sales content piece that can actually bring in the revenue. And it's so funny because those pieces of content typically won't get as much engagement and they won't get as many likes and things like that, but their revenue starts to absolutely double, triple, like and that's what I do, right? I'm not here to make you go viral. I'm here to make you money.
Exactly. Because just by the nature of it, if it's going viral, it's because it's applicable to the masses. Your sales
Yeah.
content is not going to be applicable to the masses. It's applicable to a few. And especially when you're working with like high ticket offers or premium, it's not going to
Hmm.
be for every Tom, Dick, and Harry that are out there. It's
Yeah.
specific messaging for a specific few. And so the more tailored you can be, the more likely you are to be bringing in those more premium clients, as opposed to like if you just want to sell, I don't know, a $15 membership to everyone that's out there, then fine, you can be
Cool.
applicable. But
Mhm.
yeah, when you're moving towards, for the people that are scaling, those premium high ticket offers, you've got to get more specific in your messaging.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Loving that. Um, are there any types of content that you would happily ban from the online space?
Oh my God. Any content I think that's like I don't relate with like negativity. Like if your content is out there and you're just out there to share something that's like a negative opinion or but there's no context or lesson in that content. I just think you're miserable and this is a piece of content that was made out of like defense, like a defense mechanism, or it was like an emotionally charged piece of content versus like an actual leadership piece of content. I think there's a way to share opinionated content and a way not to share opinionated content. Because a lot of the times, what you see if somebody is just out there and they share like, a negative opinion about something, but it doesn't follow up with any lesson or,
Mm.
what can they change or, there's nothing behind it. All you see in the comments is other victims who
Yeah,
just want a place to go and complain. I hate that. And I just, anytime I see that, I'm like, I would never hire this person. I
more
think
than
I
that.
think we need I think we need more emotionally intelligent content.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. It is. It's the difference between you can tell when someone's been recently fired up and they've come to social media to vent,
Yes.
versus something that's happened, they've slept on it, and this is like a thought through piece of we need to do better as an industry versus right, you're all gonna get it.
Exactly, exactly. And anything that's like just like boring ChatGPT shit that I literally will scroll and see 5 different pieces of content in like the span of 5 minutes that are the exact same. I hate that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and it's the same. So I'm on LinkedIn as well, and it's like people will use that as their opening message, and I'm like, do you not realize I've had the same opening message like for like 5 other people today? You realize that this is not a just you thing, right? Like, where's the originality? Like, if you're actually
Yeah.
trying to stand out from the crowd, using the same thing as what 90% of other people are using because they're not yet, they haven't refined their own messaging and sales strategy enough to think differently. How are you planning to actually stand out?
Yeah.
grinds my gears. You can spot,
Mhm.
especially when you're good at messaging, you can spot ChatGPT messaging just
Oh, from a mile away, I can sniff it out.
even if people have like used that as a template and then sprinkled in their own words, I'm like, you can smell it.
All the words, like as soon as I see the word precision, or I see the double dash, or I see like I don't know, like oh, the truth that you actually need to hear, or I don't know,
Yeah,
no one's will say this to you, but and it's like that's all so ChatGPT coded.
yeah, or it's not that, it's this.
Yes.
Not to say that people who are like getting better or wanting to improve their sales and marketing like shouldn't use that. I get if you're like a busy person and you just need to get something out there, then fine. But know that people do know what it is. And it's always, I'd always encourage my clients to, and I'm sure you're the same, that I'd much rather you write a messy piece, but it's your words and how you are feeling and your energy behind it than just using something for a template that I've lost your intention behind it, you know?
Yeah. And the personality of who you are, like
Yeah.
hiring. I don't want to hire a robot.
Yeah,
I want to hire you, like as the person and leader. Because what are you going to chat GPT my mentorship messages to you? Like,
exactly.
I want to know you, of what you've been through, that you can hold me. Like, I don't want chat GPT responses if I'm paying high ticket for mentorship.
Exactly. And it's that little bit of mistrust that it creates. Which someone might think, oh, they'll trust me more if I use this level messaging. But actually, you've outsourced some of your power trying to look better. And therefore, you create that disconnect. Because I'm like, well, if you're trying to look better in that way, where are you lacking? Or where do you feel that you're lacking? Because if
Yeah.
you feel like you're lacking somewhere, I now don't want to invest in you. So, to anyone listening that is using that level of messaging, that's the actual like reflection it creates. So there's a distance.
Yeah. I love it.
So, what are some of the things that you're most proud of out of your journey over since 2019? Are there things that you're just like, those were some standout moments for me?
I mean, I think the biggest piece is the relationships that I've been able to build with clients, and just like the lives that I've been able to change. Like when someone goes from, being able, like not being able to afford something to like, one of my clients buying her sister a car and taking her whole family to Disneyland. Like those things are moments that I like just feel like I get to play like such a small part in that just make my entire world. And I get like so emotional talking about it. Um, but I think it's like, I think when I get those messages of like, this has been life changing, like, thank you. I believe in myself more and I can't believe what has changed in my life. Like, again, like that freedom and that choice and how I'm able to support women and feeling so convicted and empowered in their own business on a day-to-day basis. That's one of the things I think is like when I look at my biggest accomplishments, it's that. And it's the level of the and the deepness of that relationship too. Like I love meeting my clients in person. I have clients that have been with me for 4 years, 5 years. I know who they are as people. Like it's just the most beautiful thing in the world. And then, I mean, even with my own life, it's like, the ability to provide like such an incredible life for my family and our home and again like just the freedom of choice that would not be
Mm.
possible. It would just not be possible otherwise. And to give back to my family, like I took all my family to Mexico not too long ago, which was so fun, and just to give them experiences that they
Yeah,
otherwise wouldn't have. um
yeah.
there's nothing better than that.
And that's it. We were speaking about how like money does buy happiness.
It
It,
does. It
it buys
absolutely does.
freedom, it
If I
buys
always say,
peace.
if you say money doesn't buy happiness, you've never had money. Like
Yeah, you haven't
you
had enough of
haven't.
it. And you've not been around like people who are money positive because
Yes.
people who have money don't talk about that.
But I
Because
also will say, like, and I've said this to clients, like, if you can't be happy at 10K months, you're not going to be happy at 100K months. Like,
yeah,
there is a happiness and a joy that you do have to cultivate for yourself and enjoy the journey and not try to just chase, right? Or, oh, I'll be happy when. I'll
Yeah,
feel better when I, hit a 50K month. It's like, no, how can you be happy where you are right now? And then you get
100%.
to take that on your journey, right? But for lack, yes, money does buy happiness for
100%.
sure.
Exactly. And it's it's a properly about enjoying the journey. I think that was a big breakthrough moment for me earlier on in my journey where I'd got enough traction. I could see the future. I was like, I know that this is going to be successful. But I just prioritized business so much I'd actually forgot to like live my life.
Mhm.
I'd put
Yep.
everything on hold to be like business, 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 business. And
Yeah.
like I knew that I was meant to do this, but at the same time I'd killed a little bit of my soul because I'd stopped living. And
Yeah.
so partly where the move to Bali came, I was like, I actually need to readjust this balance, start living again. And then it just brought so much more happiness in,
Yeah.
which then obviously you can bring back to the business. So yes, I love that you took the family to Mexico because those experiences end up being the things that money can't buy. Obviously, money
Oh,
paid for it,
absolutely.
but the memories that you create from those experiences and all then the follow-on
Priceless.
conversations you get to have, like reminiscing and like all of that, the photos and the memories and all of that are absolutely priceless. So I love
Yeah.
that.
Great.
So for people who are scaling, let's say that they've done six figures and let's say that they've hit a bit of a plateau because this happens. I always talk about business. I find for me has been seasonal, and so there's some like growth periods and then there's some a little bit of plateau. What would you say to people who've experienced a plateau, know that scaling is possible for them, but they're just a little bit in the mud? What would you say to those people?
I would ask them, where did they stop writing their story? Because what I notice when a lot of people hit a plateau is that they got to the point that they are right now by playing, being a little bit messy, putting things out there, sharing their story, investing in their business, talking about their moves. And then they get to a point where there becomes a little bit not scare. I don't like to use the word scarcity, but it's almost like you're not as naive as you were, and now you have something to lose. So once you hit that six figures, before when you started, you didn't have anything to lose. You were like, well, what could happen? I have nothing. Versus once you get to a certain point, now you have something to lose. And so there's fear sometimes that comes up. Oh, and you've maybe made a move before that didn't work out, that now you're smarter and wiser about that. Makes you hesitant a little bit to make the next one. And I think that that's when I like to ask, like, when did you stop like creating the story of what is possible for you? And
Hmm.
when did you stop moving and getting a little bit complacent, right, in the moves that you're making? And a lot of people also, when they reach that six-figure mark, in order to get to seven, let's just say, you can't keep operating the same way you did and in the same mindset as you were when you as how you got to six figures. Like you need to now like and the difference between six and seven, I don't think people recognize it, but it's actually a very big difference. There's a very
Yeah.
big difference. And like so when I was at the six-figure mark, I had to really ask myself, well, what would actually that version of myself who was already making seven figures, what would she be doing? Because the comfortable move for me to make right now is to stay where I am. The comfortable
Mhm.
move for me to make right now is to keep investing at the level that I am. The comfortable move, right? But I don't want the comfortability. The only way to get to that quote unquote next level is by remembering that what did you do to get to six figures? You played a bigger game. You got to turn the dial up again. You got to get uncomfortable again. You have to start learning and being a student again. You have to, like,
Mhm.
there are things that you need to shift in and people that you need to shift in who's supporting you as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's about getting around people who are either of a similar level or ahead of you to like refill that fire. Because you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. When you're
exactly.
earlier in your journey, you've got nothing to lose. Like you've got
Yeah,
no shame. You can just go. Whereas
yeah.
when you've built runway, all of a sudden there's like reputation and there is shame or there's fear
Mhm,
of it or judgment. And so
mhm.
you lose a little bit of your recklessness for fear, like for wanting to be
Yeah.
good a lot of the time. But that keeps, yeah, I really, really love that you were like, get back into keep writing your story.
Yeah.
Love.
And you know what? There are going to be changes. Like there might be changes in who you want to support. There might be changes in programs that you want to make. And again, those are quote unquote scary things. You're probably going to piss some people off along the way, you know? But again, you can't stay where you are because you're afraid of what other people are going to think, or you're afraid that, oh, if I change who my ideal client is or who I'm going to attract, like I'm not going to make any sales, like, or, it's going to take so much time for people to catch up. Like all of those are just voices in your head trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you
Yeah.
small. So you really have to look at everything and basically throw up two middle fingers and be like, fuck it all. Like this is what I want. I'm going to go after it, right?
Yes. That brings me nicely on to what's one thing that you would stop doing immediately if you wanted to scale faster.
I would literally get out of indecision. People that are in indecision and who hesitate so much on making the decisions, they never get to where they want to go as fast as they want to go. Like if there's something I want to do, there's like this like 3 or 5 second rule or whatever, and it's like you get a couple seconds to be in your feelings about it, you get a couple seconds to think about what you're gonna do, and then you have to go and execute on it. Like that is it. Like,
Yeah.
and I've lived my life in that way, and I definitely think that that's why I have scaled as fast as I have as well, because I don't waste any time in indecision. That is the most expensive thing you can do.
Love that.
Mm.
Love that. It's the cost of indecision and the
There's a big
time, the dwell time. I love that. You're like a couple of seconds, digest it, move the fuck on.
exactly.
Amazing. So, lastly, bringing it to a close, because this has been absolutely epic. If you could leave my audience with one truth about building a wildly successful business, what would it be?
You have to chase passion over profit. You really do. Like when people just chase the money and the profit, like they end up just not building the wildly successful, sustainable business that they want and they love. And when you really get into what you are truly embodied in and who you are as a person and your magic, that is so unique to you that no one else can copy. When you really dive into that and you lead with that, and that's what you're passionate about, the profit is going to follow you any which way you turn. So I would say to really just be so true to who you are and build a business around.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much. That's an awesome lesson for the She Scales listeners. Where can people come and find you on socials? Where's the best place?
Come over to Instagram. It's just your biz coach, Demi. I'm hanging out there always. And if you have any questions, my inbox is always open as well, to discuss working together or just like, what your scaling journey could potentially look like.
100%. And I can personally say, go binge her content. There will be things that you learn, like pull up a chair. Because whether it's a stories masterclass, whether it's like the carousels that you put together, like it's every piece is a journey in itself, and it's a whole masterclass. So 100% go follow her. And for you, Demi, thank you so much for joining me today. I've absolutely loved this conversation and just all the little intricacies that we've got into content messaging. But I really, really love that we spent a good amount of time talking about leadership and integrity, because that's so, so important. So thank you so much. Anything you want to add, or are you good?
No, just thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited for the episode to come out for everybody to listen to.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you so much. Thank you for the listeners, and I shall see you inside the next episode. Toodaloo.